Once your idea has been approved, I want you to begin getting all this stuff out. Now, all the supplies that you're going to need are going to be kind of in our stained glass area, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But you're going to need this flux. You're going to need this container right here, which has our solder in it. There's some tweezers, and I also have a paintbrush here to put the flux onto the metal. Everything is in a container that is going to look like this with this kind of a lid on there. And it is going to say Art Metals and Jewelry's solder kit. Okay, so, and you used this before, you know, when we did our wire coin. So I'm going to kind of get this all set up by doing the same thing I did then, which is getting the flux out, and I want to get where I'm going to be touching the metal. So I want to be, you know, kind of liberal with how much I'm giving with this, to make sure that it is going to do well. And your metal has to be touching, okay? Pay attention to where your corners are at, because I'm actually going to want to move this around a little bit, because I want those parts to be more on the inside than the outside, because then I have these nice, really clean circlets, if that's a word. You know, being kind of covered up by the solder. There. And it's nice and brown on the outside. Okay, I'm gonna go back in because I know I shift around a little bit. Make sure I'm good. Okay, and like before, open up your container. And this time we do want to kind of grab the larger pieces for this and set them right on top. Okay. Now when I end up casting this, I want to make sure that my flame is a little on the higher side than normal, because I don't want to blow these pieces of solder off, okay? So let's go over and get this soldered. Okay, I have it all set up. Again, vacuum anything around here if you have sawdust, because you are using an open flame, and I do my best in class to make sure we don't start fires. So again, I have this out. Remember, this is in that small metal cabinet. You turn it on, turn that on. Keep this out high, on the high side, higher than your other one, because you just don't want to blow those pieces off. And I'm going around in a circle like this above it. It's important to get everything hot, the best you can, because the solder won't stick to anything that's not hot. So it's kind of important that you get those rings hot as well. So the slower you do this, the better. Okay, see the solder melting. Okay, that's it. You know, same thing before. Have some sort of cup that you can splash this onto to cool this down. Make sure that solder is cool enough that when you shift this, it doesn't do what it just did right there. I meant to do that so you can see what not to do. But I think I was okay. We'll find out here in a minute. Okay, we're good. Still nice and toasty. Stick it in that water. Okay. So it went through, like this is my best one here because I can see it nice and thin on this side. You know, this side over here, same thing. Now, in these areas, here, you can see that it's awfully bumpy. Smooth on this side, smooth all over here. So this is my back, I think. So I don't think this melted as good as it could have. One I'm most concerned about, I think, is this one here, because it doesn't actually go over onto this one. It's covered on this side, but not on this side. What I could do is I could flux this again, add a little more solder onto that, flux these areas, warm it up with the torch one more time, and I think that'd be fine. Otherwise, I don't think this is in a bad shape because it does cover this side, so this is my weakest spot, but I think it'd still be okay. Next thing to do is because I would take a piece of steel wool and just kind of buff this a little bit, like we did with those wax rings, and then try to solder it one time. So otherwise, again, cool it down though. That's my biggest mistake there. Otherwise, I feel like it turned out pretty good. And I'm gonna buff this real quick and we'll go to the next part on how to add the leather.